Thank you. That was a song called For Sephora, and before that, Coquette, which was an old American jazz standard. So our name is the Django Shredders, and we're going to be playing the music of Django Reinhardt, who, for those of you who don't know, he was a Belgian-born French minute gypsy. He was a fan of early American jazz, jazz in the 30s and 40s, and he wanted to play this music, and he did, but he sort of did it in his own way. He would combine influences of, just the simple timbre of his instrumentation, and sort of, instead of playing the swing beat on drums, he would play it on guitar, which is sort of this, what we call it, the lip pomp rhythm, that we've been doing. So he sort of did it his own way, and he combined his European influences and sort of created what we call today gypsy jazz or manouche jazz. And apart from, he was an amazing composer, guitarist, and he played the American jazz standards, or at the time those were the popular tunes. And he was also he was an amazing composer, and that's what we're going to highlight with this next tune. It's actually a little medley we like to do of two of his tunes that we really like. This is Daphne and Belleville. Belleville first, then Daphne. Gypsy, we're going to continue with another Django Reinhardt song. This is maybe his most well-known song, actually. This one is called Nuage, which means clouds. And this is one of our favorites. now we'll take a second to just briefly talk about who we are and how we sort of got into playing this music. In the first place, I'll pass the mic on to Rudy in a second too, but my name's Alex Ciavarelli, and this is Rudy Marquez, and we met at SDSU, San Diego State University, in the jazz studies. Well, no, we were both jazz studies majors, but we met in a theory class, and we started jamming a little, and Rudy was playing gypsy jazz at the time, and I always wanted to get into this style because it's something that's, while there's a lot of similarities to straight ahead jazz, which is sort of where I come from, there's also a lot of idiomatic, melodic and harmonic devices that are very particular to this kind of music too, that I always wanted an excuse to learn about. And so I sort of used Rudy as an excuse to learn gypsy jazz, and we just sort of, here we are now. We just kept doing it, and we like it, and anyways, I come from a musical family. My dad's a pianist, mom's a flautist. Dad's jazz piano, mom's classical flautist, so there was sort of there's kind of some, disagreement on to whether I should play jazz or classical when I was starting out, but I guess jazz won in the end. But anyways, I started off playing on violin, and then I quit. I started when I was really young, and then I, like maybe 5, and then I quit when I was like 11, because I liked the sound of a full symphony. I didn't like one particular instrument. I wanted to play it all, and you can't really play it all. So I kind of fell out of it, but when I got older, my parents said I needed to choose an instrument, and I thought guitar was cool, so I chose guitar, and I ended up liking it, and yeah, one thing led to another. Here, I'll give the mic to Rudy and let him say his piece.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Fine? Well, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone tonight before I tell you a little bit about myself. It's nice to see so many people out here to support gypsy jazz out in Iowa. We're all the way from San Diego, California, so we're a long ways away from home. This is as east as I've ever gone in the country. So Bob has been really great about showing us around and telling us all the historical stuff about the state. He knows a lot, actually, more than I know. So yeah, I got into guitar actually kind of in a weird way, very weird way. There's this video game that came out when I was 18 years old. It was called Guitar Hero. And I got it for my birthday, which was around December. And it was close to Christmas time. So I got really good at the game, and then I had asked my mom, I was like, hey, I think I want to learn the guitar. And she was like, oh, that's kind of weird, why? And I was just like, well, I got, I'm on an expert level on the Guitar Hero game. I think I'm ready to take on, all these Metallica songs I've been practicing. So I get a first act guitar. That's like a Target guitar you can get. I don't know if you guys have Target out here. Okay, yeah, you can get it at Target. Yeah, a lot of the stores out here are way different than the West Coast. So, Hy-G or whatever. What's that? Hy-Vee, yeah. We have Vaughn's and stuff out where we're from. So, but anyways, yeah, I got a Target guitar, and it was impossible to learn on, but I was committed and I wanted to learn, and I self-taught myself all the way until I was about 21, and I said I want to go to school for this. I think I was very confused after high school, like most kids. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go to college, and it's a lot of money. I don't come from a very wealthy family, so going to college, I wanted to make sure that I paid for it all on my own. I didn't want to put a burden on my family, especially if I was going to go for the music. So I was just like, they're like, are you sure? And I was just like, yeah, I want to do it. It's something I'm passionate about. So I started studying classical guitar around when I was 21 years old, got into that type of music, and it was very foreign to me because I didn't know how to read on the guitar, and this instrument is very hard to read music on because there's so many of the same notes, but they're all over the place. You could play one note in like 3 or 4 different positions, but on the piano or any other instrument, it's always going to be in one spot. So the guitar is a very difficult instrument to learn on, and I found that out the hard way. I still struggle to read music nowadays, even after graduating from SDSU. But yeah, I got into jazz around 23 years old. Right when I transferred to SDSU, my last semester at my community college, I took a basic improvisation course, and I was immediately attracted to it. And I told my teacher I want to quit classical music because I feel like this is the music that I have the most fun playing, which is improvising, playing with other people. I mean, in classical music, you can play with other people, but that's usually in an orchestral situation. And with a guitar, there isn't much of that you can really do, unless you're playing with an ensemble or something like that. But I found jazz music very interesting, and I wanted to discover it more, so I got to San Diego State. Like Alex said, I met him, theory course, and you know, I got into gypsy jazz in a very weird way. My cousin, who actually found out about the music, went to go study in Boston, actually. They have this thing in June, it's called Gypsy Jazz in June, Django in June, actually. And you can go out to Boston, Massachusetts. I think they have, I'm not sure what school they're at, but they hold it at a university. And for a whole week, you get to study with professional gypsy jazz players, learn all the stuff. And he brought a lot of what he learned to me, and I was like, this music's really cool, and it's centered around the guitar, you know. So it's like, it's a win-win. I was like, all right, I'm going to learn this, and this is how I got into the jazz language, was through this music we're playing for you. So I feel like I've talked too much. I don't know. I'm having fun. This is really cool. We're all the way from San Diego, and we're playing in Iowa. I don't know. It's still like a shock to me. I don't know. We're still new to the whole touring thing, or at least I am. I don't know. This next song that we're actually going to play for you guys is another Django Reinhardt tune. It's called Deuce Ambience. Alex says it sounds like a very dark Jingle Bells. Let's see if you guys can hear that. I think it worked.
Thank you. That was maybe the first recorded jazz standard ever, Tiger Rag. And before that, a piece by Django Reinhardt called Trouble on Bolero. We're going to play one more for you, then we're going to take a 15-minute intermission. This next one is one of our favorites. It's not a Django Reinhardt composition, but it's just a tune we like to play. This is C'est si bon. So this next set, we're gonna sort of stray away a little bit from the Django stuff and do some maybe more modern jazz or just some. We're gonna stretch the genre out a little bit. We're gonna start off with a tune that's a jazz standard, and we did a little bit of an arrangement of it. We like starting off with it. This one's Green Dolphin Street. by another guitarist who's actually another one of our favorite guitarists. You may have heard of him, Pat Metheny, one of the great jazz guitarists of our time. And this is a song off of his first album, maybe his most well-known album, Bright Size Life. This is the tune, Bright Size Life. we have a set list on here, and Rudy wrote it, and his handwriting is not the greatest. So I was just looking down, and I was like, what did he just write down there? This next tune, it's kind of a, we've been messing around with some McCoy Tyner type voicings lately, some what we call Quarrel Voicings, and this tune sort of utilizes some of those. It's another standard that we've arranged, softly as in a morning sunrise. And we've been playing it lately just for fun, and we decided, oh, this would be a cool one to do live, just because we like the sound of it so much. So this is sort of a McCoy Tyner inspired version of Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. is a total departure from what we've been doing. This is, I reckon you'll recognize it. I'm not gonna say what it is. I'll just let you figure it out.
Do I even know what it is?
Actually, do I even know what it is? Wait, are we talking about the same song?
I don't even know, I'm gonna be honest.
All right, we're gonna see what happens.
Okay. I might play two different tunes. That could be cool.
Polytone, how are you start?
Oh, I know.
Isn't she lovely, if you didn't know? Yeah, we liked it in that one. But yeah, sort of totally out of left field from what we usually do. Anyway, something actually I think I forgot to mention earlier. For those of you who don't know, something really notable to mention about Django Reinhardt, he actually only used 2 fingers when he played. Well, kind of 3. He could kind of flop. He had an accident when he was 19. The caravan he was in caught fire, and he injured his hand and his leg, actually. And he sort of lost the ability to use his ring finger and his pinky finger in any dexterous way. He could kind of flop them down for some chords and stuff, but when he was soloing and doing all this crazy stuff, he's just using 2 fingers. So, which is pretty crazy. If you can look at it on YouTube if you've never seen it, but we use all our fingers because we have them. But I mean, it also influenced the music. A lot of the voicings, the chord voicings he would use too, and it's kind of interesting how that handicap actually shaped the music that he played and shaped the genre, sort of. And yeah, it's just something I thought worth mentioning. No, not at all. Go for it.
So as we wind down to these last songs, I should say. How many of do you guys know anything about Django Reinhardt? Are you guys familiar at all? I assume so, coming out, to see a gypsy jazz show. Where we're from, the genre gypsy jazz isn't really well known in San Diego. There's not too many local groups. It's us and maybe like 3 or 4 other groups that kind of do this music. A lot of people know about it, but they don't really perform it, and it's nice to see, because we went on tour actually in San Francisco in January, actually, and we got a lot of people to come out, and we were surprised. We were like, wow, like we didn't think we were going to bring such an audience, because the genre is, it's you have to know about it. You don't. I mean, you could be a jazz connoisseur, so to speak, and like a lot of the jazz music, but gypsy jazz is like a unique sort of music. And it's hard to find certain people that know about it, unless you're a player. Like if you're a musician, it's almost like a musician's music in a way.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans up there. It's pretty
interesting. We had a lot of big following up in San Francisco for gypsy jazz music. I don't know how much it is out here in Iowa, in terms of like if there's any local gypsy jazz players or anything like that. I'm sure there are though. You'd be surprised, But yeah, like we'd like to probably just maybe say maybe a few words. I just wanted to thank Bob and everybody in the Northeast Theater and in Iowa. This Marshalltown, it's a great town. We had fun walking around actually.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. Really good food over here too. It's really cool. It was raining last night, which scared the heck out of me though. But like the lightning and all that, because Bob had just told us about a casualty that happened recently with a tornado, I believe. And he kind of showed us the damage, and I was like, Alex, is this it? Do we bring the tornado or? No, but we've been enjoying our stay here in Marshalltown. We hope to come back eventually. And my mom's actually cracking up. She's like, why are you all the way in Iowa right now? She was texting me the other day, yesterday when we had gotten here. And I was just like, this is our job, and we get to go and play this music for people, so it's really cool. Thank you guys again for coming out. Thank you.
All right. I muted it.
Oh, you did?
I think I did.
All right. We're gonna play another swing tune. I really like playing this one, and I want to play it, and so we shall. This one is quite simply named "Stompin' at the Savoy," and it's in D flat for those of you who are curious. Jumping at the Savoy. I think we might have time for about one more. Briefly though, I also wanted to mention about our guitars that we're playing on, because they're kind of unusual, aren't they? They're sort of specific to this style, gypsy jazz. And we like to think of ourselves as educators as well as as performers. So I'll let Rudy talk about these, since these are actually both his instruments. I borrow this one when we play this. Sometimes I play on my electric, but it sounds better on this. Anyways, I'll pass the mic to Rudy real quick.
So, yeah, both of our guitars, I don't know if you guys can see, probably better right here, right? So, Alex, the one that he's holding, I'll start with his first, is a Selmer McAferry replica model, actually. It was made by a luthier in San Diego, where we're from, and he made them. These are actually the last few models he made before he retired from making the guitars. Del Arte, as you see on the top of my headstock here on my guitar, is the brand made, or that he and another distributor, Alan Cola, in San Diego, they made these guitars when Alan came from France and moved to San Diego, I believe in 1970. And he talked to the guy, John Kinnard, who is the luthier, and he was telling him about gypsy jazz music. And John originally made exotic ukuleles and mandolins and weird-looking acoustic guitars that you would, exotic, yeah. And Alan was like, no, you need to stop making all this foolish stuff, and you need to make money off of these gypsy jazz guitars. And he didn't believe it, so Alan took John to a convention where there's a bunch of gypsy jazz distributors, right, all over the world. And he was astonished that people were buying these instruments, and he was like, I'm gonna make these now. So that's when he decided to make these instruments, and that's a little story for you guys. I don't know where that came from. But anyways, this guitar that Alex has, the Selmer model, is a typical gypsy jazz guitar that you would find any player playing, specifically Django. He was one of the big innovators of the oval hole, which is the sound hole that he has. And my guitar is a untraditional gypsy jazz guitar. It has the classic F forte holes that you would typically see maybe on a violin, bass, cello, any of those types of instruments. Now I fit right in with mine too, so I can hang with those guys. I kind of blend in. Alex, you don't have any, so I'm sorry, man. But yeah, mine was actually one of the last guitars that John made, and it means a lot. This guitar means a lot to me. I really love playing on it. The thing about this music is a lot of the guitars are set up in such a way where it can be heard without microphones. So if we were to go completely dry tonight, you could mostly hear us, but the microphones sound better, so kind of adds a little bit extra. But the action on the guitars are a little bit hard to play on. Action is like the amount of force you need to press on the string to get a sound to come out. For us guitarists, we tend to like a lower action because that's an easier amount of force you have to press to make a note sound. But on his guitar, it's set up in a traditional sense because the higher the action, the more punch you kind of get. And he has that on that guitar, and it's a brutal instrument to play on. It's very tiring. He's doing a good job tonight playing on it. But yeah. Do you guys have any questions or anything? We don't normally do this, but I mean, you guys, it's like a very small, intimate setting, so.
I noticed they have 3-inch necks, is that right? Which is not traditional for many of the common guitars. That's more of a classical width, right?
Yes, yeah. The distance between the strings, you said?
No, the width of the neck.
The width of the neck, yes. It's a lot. It's actually, my guitar is has a bigger neck than most. Surprisingly, it's hard to tell, but yeah, the neck is definitely different.
It's not quite as big as a classical guitar, but it's definitely bigger than electric.
Yeah.
And tell us about your tour. Where'd you start and where are you going?
Well,
Where do we start?
This tour was sort of just a
Well, we got
Iowa tour.
Yeah. This one was a cool little weekend one where we got we got to come here on Friday. We flew in. Oh, I hate flying, but we flew in around like 10, I think, right? And then we got here, and it's like a 2-hour difference. So we kind of slept in today, which was really weird.
Yeah.
Because it was like 12 here, but then it was like 10 o'clock at home in San Diego. I was like, why does it feel so different? Like it gets darker earlier here, I think. It feels like, I don't know why. Yeah.
One other question.
Yeah.
Alex, you're a violinist.
Oh, I was.
Why would you play Stephen Propelli? Come on.
Oh, well, I actually stopped when I started playing guitar. I sort of got into, I originally got into rock guitar, actually. So I was just doing that, then I got into jazz. By the time I'd done all that, I'd never really touched the violin. Violin's one of those instruments where it's like, you either sound bad or you sound good. So it's like, there would be a long period of me sounding bad.
But how many years did Django and Propelli play together?
Oh, geez. How many years? I'm not sure how many years. Quite a few. I mean, Django didn't live a very long life, unfortunately. But I'd say maybe...
I'm not going to like pretend like I know. I'll have to ask Siri real quick, but I gotta do that on stage.
So, thank you.
But yeah, their relationship, Stefan and Django's was they kind of fought a lot. It was actually kind of interesting. They kind of butted heads because Stefan was kind of like that really good student, and Django was kind of like that naughty student who never showed up on time. There were some concerts where Django would just not show up. He was just like, oh, I just went gambling. I forgot.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. It's surprising. And people still didn't, like, people that booked him didn't get mad at him because he was that good. Like, that must be a crazy amount of fame to have. Like, where you could just like, I don't feel like it today. And they don't get mad at you. No harm.
Yeah.
But Stefan's there, on time, ready, tuned up, waiting for them, no show. So it must be kind of like, you know, kind of all weird to hear the bandmates, but
It's a serious wild card.
yeah. What if you like didn't show up today?
Hey, good luck.
Yeah.
All right, this next. Oh, is this? Okay.
It's got its mind of its own.
This next tune, actually, this is a standard. This one, Night and Day. This is one Django did too. We really like this one as well. I think you guys will too. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and being such a wonderful audience. And thank you, Bob, for having us. And thank you, Iowa. We really enjoyed playing for you guys. We got one more for you. This is one of our favorites. This is Bossa Dorado.